Radcast News. Hey guys, Ryan Alford, your host of the Radcast.
You're listening to the Radcast.
If it's radical, we cover it. Here's Ryan and Riley.
Here's your host, Ryan Alford.
Hey guys, it's Ryan Alford. Welcome to the latest edition of the Radcast, the Radical Marketing Podcast. The first of a months-long, we'll call it 4 to 6 week series on the up-and-coming segment that is esports, video gaming. As an avid Nintendo player growing up, it excites me in a lot of ways, even though I have children at home that play way too much Fortnite, which I'm going to get into a little bit with our guest. But really excited to talk about esports, the growth of it from a marketing perspective, the growth of it from a platform perspective. There's so many layers to esports, one of which I'm excited to get in with our guest today, Magnus Leppäniemi. Am I saying it right, Magnus? We went over this pre-show, but I'm trying, man.
Hi, Ryan. Yeah, you're doing good. You do really good. It works.
Good.
Definitely.
He is the VP of Marketing, the head of esports at Esports Entertainment Group. And Magnus, really appreciate you coming on the Radcast today.
Thank you for inviting me, and thanks for having me at the podcast.
Great. Magnus, I want to get into it. As I was setting up a little bit for the episode, lot of layers to esports, really want to rack into your knowledge base, but I think we'll start with, your background in business and industry in the esports arena. And then we'll kind of go down the path of esports gambling, which is going to be, I think, a fascinating topic for a lot of our listeners that don't realize the growth of that area. But Magnus, if you could just start, let's hear a little bit about your background.
Yeah, my background has been in sales and marketing for a long time, and actually started working with selling Nintendo video games already back in 1994 for the Nintendo Entertainment System. That's where it started, but that wasn't esport at that time. I didn't know about esport at that case, but actually a little bit later on, make a jump, as I said, to 28, 29 there, when I was working at a Nordic distribution company called Panvision. Where Capcom was one of our clients that we work with, and they released Street Fighter 4. That's where my first entry into esport was, and I was meeting actually the people over at DreamHack that came to me and said, "Hey, you should do esports. It's huge. Fighting games are huge." And I'm like, esports gaming, what is that? I heard about DreamHack, and it's like it's usually on the weekend. Why do I go there? I work Monday, Friday, so those kind of things. But that was my first entry into that space, and that's where I started working with those guys. It was Thomas, Patrick, and they're still at the DreamHack. So they've been there for a long time. It's really good meeting those guys to be there. So that's my entry, and then I started at the DreamHack in 2013. Came from actually from Panvision over then to DreamHack, and that was an interesting move. I met Stefan, who hired me, said you're never gonna have a day that looks the same for when you start at DreamHack, and it has been a crazy ride from when I'm started. I mean, when I started DreamHack, we were 13 people. I was number 14 there. DreamHack did 4, maybe 6 events that year. And then it actually took off. I mean, we entered into the US markets in 2016. We did one event in Austin, 2017, 3 events. We added in Germany, France, Spain. It was crazy ride there. So that's my whole thing there. And as I said, I've been working with partnerships for DreamHack since that part. Mainly focusing on the US side for DreamHack already in 2015, where I spearheaded DreamHack's partnership sales for the US events coming in 2016.
What's you said a keyword there that I'm going to call out because of how many quarters I spent at the arcade on Street Fighter. Like, I think I could have started 7 businesses with the amount of quarters I put in the machine. One of the greatest kind of I don't know, I'm not a platform, but just game enigmas of all time. Was Street Fighter. I just remember, so you worked on Street Fighter 4?
Yeah, well, I was on Street Fighter 4. Yeah, we launched that in the Nordics together with Capcom. I mean, it's crazy, as I said. I mean, how big that game was. I mean, it feels like we're missing the Street Fighter. Maybe I think 5 is out, but I mean, it's not that big as it was at that part of that. But as I said, it's a game that really everybody can play. Everybody can be there, even if you're a button basher, same as I am. I'm just hammering the buttons. Or if you actually you calculate the moves, you know how to do that. And the best people are even calculating the frames happening there. So it's crazy.
The fireballs that I would throw with Ken, I would take out Bison before, like, like all these character names are coming back to me.
Yeah. And I guess you have one special move that you always use. You
Oh, yeah.
and then you went,
Oh, I had at least 3. I would pull that spinning kick off on, like, right in the perfect time, and no one had a chance except for some of the big players. But so what are the big games, now? Like, my kids are playing Fortnite. I know a lot of the first person, third person arena game shooters get into some of, those, but like League of Legends, Counter-Strike, I know where's most of the activity? I know it's universal across esports, but is there segments that are going faster than others?
I mean, as I said, saying esports, it's like saying sports. So many different games in there. And usually it is the traditional ones that are the biggest one. League of Legends, Dota, Counter-Strike. Of course, the 3 biggest ones that has the most viewerships, that has the most teams. It has a huge ecosystem for both tournament organizations or teams to survive in and be in. And then you have the up-and-comers, like, as I said, Fortnite is coming there. Overwatch League, Call of Duty League, those are also coming in there, as I said. And Rocket League also is a great game, but they're actually building that ecosystem, and Rainbow Six, of course. So it's those. There are games that has been for a long time, as the first 3 I mentioned. The other ones are coming there. So I think it's great to see that there's more games coming into the so to say, more ecosystems. So both tournament organizations can survive, but also teams can be there. So that's great. So, but as I said, I would say an up and coming segment that we're going to watch and see more coming is the mobile games. That's going to be huge. I mean, not everybody can afford a high end PC that you need to compete in esport games. I mean, but everybody has a mobile, and it gives you the same capacity to play on. So I think that's the huge coming. And also with new games as Fortnite or PUBG Mobile or Call of Duty is there, perfect. Those really going to make sure that I think esport on mobile is going to be the one that actually grows really fast here.
What talk a little bit about your role now as head of esports at the company and the gambling side. Let's transition a little bit into that and your role.
I mean, as I said, Esports Entertainment has 2 entities right now. We bought Argyle, who is an UK traditional sports and casino betting, and then it's YGG, who's the esport betting part. We're not going to have the traditional sports books there. We're not going to have the traditional casino things. It's all going to be esport and gaming. So that's something we're really building out there. We want to be the best. So be the best or the go-to sites when you want to bet on esports and gaming. So if you want to bet on if you are a gamer, you're probably going to look at as I said, Counter-Strike or League of Legends or Dota games. You don't look at traditional sports. That's one of the categories we really want to be. And those are actually, they think about the games. They are very knowledgeable about the games. They know what they want to bet on. They also have that kind of in-game betting, what's happening, what's going to be in the next part, what's those kind of things. That's one of the target groups. And that's really interesting. How can we talk to them? Is that through sponsorships? Is that through activations? How do we build that community? And that's one of the things we also want to see, that we're building a esport community. We be a part of the esport community in there.
What's the profile of the game? I'm sorry to interrupt. What's the profile of the average like gambler of esports? Is it a gamer themselves?
I mean, as I said, it's 2 categories. One of the traditional ones is that the people that play Counter-Strike, those are about 21, 24, and they want to bet on the games they know and the teams they vote for. Really, you have those guys. And then you have the second one. The second one we're also talking about, and that's happened during the pandemic time. Those that used to bet on horse racing, racing games, NBA games, that when that stopped, they didn't have anything to bet on. Then they really was looking for things to bet on, and there was like maybe some Division 2 in Peru or Division 2 in Belarus to bet on. But then was esport, and there was still traditional sports running on, but on the virtual way. You have the Formula One, you have the NASCAR, you have the NBA 2K League, you have the FIFA, you have the Madden, and people were moving into that and start betting on those things because they understand the game. Because if you FIFA and Madden, you will understand because it's tradition. But if you never play League of Legends or League of Legends or Dota, you don't understand what's happening. What are you going to bet on? You can bet on who's going to win the game. That team look nice, that odds look nice, but that's all. You don't have that insight what's happening in games, that part. So that's where we see there's two things. And the same goes for the people that are betting on League of Legends or Dota. They won't bet on traditional sports because that's too casual for them. They don't care about that stuff. So that you have those. Those are the two things we see there.
What's the highest? What's the number one game that's bet on in the U.S.?
Counter-Strike is the number one bet. Yeah. Counter-Strike is by far the biggest one of those three. I would say Counter-Strike, League, and Dota are the two biggest ones.
And then how far behind are the traditional sports of NBA 2K or Madden or something like that? I mean, is it like a distant 10th and 12th, or is it like, are they right there behind them?
No, it's a distance. There's a big distance there. Even if it was a pick, those grow really. Those games grow during the pandemic, but it's not closest to CS:GO because that's the biggest by far. People know that and they understand the game also. So I think that is the biggest one.
Yeah.
So there is I would say there's a lot of ground for those to cover to actually to be at the same level there.
I'm going to ask a question that I wish I knew the answer to, but just assume the answer is yes. Yeah. Is it 100% legal in the U.S. to gamble online on esports?
No, it's not. I mean, if you're going to gamble on esports, the gambling license you need, it's 52 states. There's 52 licenses to do that. So if not every state has a license where it's actually open up for betting in every country. We are looking to get the New Jersey license. Hopefully we get that soon. So that's coming there. But then it's only for people that actually within New Jersey that can bet and use our things. But if people are logging on with a VPN to service in whatever other country, that's possible to do that. But as I said, but it's not legal in that way, I would say.
So right now, it's not legal for anyone in the U.S. to gamble on esports.
I don't think. I mean, there's not any U.S. entities that are offering esports bets, I would say.
Yeah.
In the U.S. market, if you're based out of California, or if you're based in Denver, I would say you can't bet on account as you have with the casinos that offers that things to do that. So that's not. Right. But you can bet on. I guess it's not illegal if you go outside and use a foreign betting service. But there's no American ones that are offering esports betting.
Okay, that's what I was asking though. Like, I mean, if I go to a site like a Rivalry or like some of these other, I think, players that are going up, if I visit them from the U.S. and I place bets there, I mean, I think a lot of these rules are being written as we speak, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they are. I think it's that whole. All companies can see that betting is pretty lucrative for them, and I think it needs to be regulations and those kind of regulations and rules in place to make sure that betting works and it's not there's no shady business, whatever. So I think that's one of the things we're really working for, to make sure that we are on the right side and we don't have any gray market, those kind of things. We want to actually have the license in New Jersey to be able to offer bets in New Jersey for the people living there. And then we're looking, of course, at other states to do that. So we want to be that. And I think that's also part where we have that, when we're listed on a NASDAQ, we want to be the most transparent betting company in the US on that part. Of course, we need to be there because we have the SEC watching over us what we're doing and checking our books and all that thing. But also with the multi-license, they also have they can also check our books 24/7. So we can't do any gray market things they want, but we just want to make sure that we are doing the right thing there.
I don't think people have completely gotten their heads around the scale of all of these things. Like I even myself, I have 4 boys under the age of 10. They all love video games. They play. At some point in this interview, I'm going to ask, can they actually make a career out of this? So hold your answer for later. But can they make their parents rich doing this? No, I'm kidding. So hold your answer on that. But I don't think, from the events to the teams, what and you're in the circles that you are, but as this has grown, seeing the followings that the players have, that these teams have, the whole ecosystem of this is hard to even get. As someone in the business of these kind of things, like myself, it's hard to get your head around just how big it is.
It is huge, as I said. It's a several $1 billion industry. I'm not sure how many $1 billion it is, but it's huge and all that. And as I said, there's teams that are trying to make money, participating in leagues and in tournaments to have the earnings. And of course, there's the players that are the superstars and making some huge money on doing that. And then, of course, and then the tournament organizations that try to sell in the sponsorships and trying to get the exposure in that, they also have some things where they make money. So, and then you have also, of course, don't forget the influencers, the guys that also is part of that ecosystem, also providing that some of the people are former pro players, and some of the pro players also need to do streaming or trying to be influencers. So there's a lot of ways in this to make money, and it is, as I said, it's a huge business for everyone to be there. But of course, there are still some things where I think the business needs to grow, and I think it can learn a lot from the traditional sports. I mean, there's still some gaps there for how do you go from your sons going to them again. How do they go from their being at their bedroom to the big stages? What's the steps? What are the leagues they're going to play in? That's not that route is not really set there. But if you play basketball or you play football, it's like you start at minor, juniors, all those steps. That's not in esports. That's where we need to build that within esports, so people can find their different way to be better and find a way to compete in. And that's why we need more leagues. We need not just for a lot of the esports tournaments are for the big tier 1 teams, the biggest teams. What they, maybe that's 25 teams in Counter-Strike, but there's so many others. How can we make them successful? How can they grow? How can we get more people playing Counter-Strike and make a living out of that? If you look at traditional sports where you have your hockey, you have NHL, AHL, all those things, different league. And if that doesn't work, you go fly over to Europe, and then you have several leagues in every country to play in. But that's not esports hasn't built that part yet. And I think that's what we need that's what the esports need to do. Take some of these, the best things from out of traditional sports, and make sure that we move that into the esports, so you have all these different leagues or different levels to play in. Because everybody can't go from the bedroom to the big stage, or if it's in Cologne or if it's in Shanghai or whatever. That's a huge step. What are the middle ones, and how can you find the career or route there?
Yep, I think you nailed it, because I've wondered that myself. Like, my kids are playing or doing whatever, and I'm like, it does just seem like, again, from someone that's not in it every single day, this leap from average casual. You're either the average casual player or you're the superstar at the events. It just doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of middle ground. But it's interesting. Transitioning a bit to like the marketing side of things and the sponsorship and all of that. I mean, big brands have gotten, into this space, obviously in the US side, especially. I mean, I know it's worldwide, but, I think you're seeing more of it from the US. See Nike getting into the space, seeing, a lot of those brands. I mean, what's your perspective, on the the sponsorship partnership side with brands, and as a second part maybe to that, how I struggle a little bit with knowing and seeing the growth of this, and wondering how the small to medium brands get involved. The money's gotten so huge. I see how Nike and Adidas and, insert, Monster Energy or whoever that makes, sense, that has gotten involved in this. But I don't know what the baby step is for smaller to medium brands. Maybe it's hosting tournaments. I don't know. But, two-part question there.
I mean, for the big brands, it's a way to talk to, as I say, get involved and talk to the community, be a part of that community. Because how are you going to reach, if you're 18 to 30? I mean, usually traditionally was, if you're marketing, I did that a lot of times. So everyone was marketing new games, if it's a new Sonic game, or if it's a new, as I said, part of that was Street Fighter, go for that. You bought banner ads, you bought ads in magazines, and did. And if you want to be really crazy and cool with the campaign, you bought TV ads. But none of that. If you're 18 to 35, you don't watch TV anymore. Maybe I think when I was at DreamHack, we were looking at the numbers, and people spent like 6 minutes per day watching traditional TV. but they spent 74 or 75 minutes on watching YouTube or Twitch instead. So where are you going to put your money? That's where you're going to put it in. That's how you get engaged. And esports is one of the things where you can actually get that engagement. And it's also something where these brands know. Nike know what it is to sponsor a team or a player, because they've done that in basketball, they've done that in football or wherever. So that's something they know. And I think that's the big thing for them, to get involved, meet that new target group, because they can't use the traditional way, because those are dead. There's nobody watching that. And also, if you do banner ads, some people they have ad blockers. So you're missing that out too. So how do you? This is a great way to do that. But of course, it comes down to a little bit of authenticity. What are you doing? Not just coming in and plaster your logos everywhere, because that's not going to work. You actually need to do something. You need to do something for the community. How can you be an enabler for something doing that? That's one of the key things for brands to get into esports, even small or big ones. I think that's a thing to do there for them. So as I said, there's a couple of great examples. You mentioned Nike. I also think what ESL did together with Mercedes, how they actually, I would say, gave them the hand, say, guys, follow us. We will show you way into esports, how to work that, and where they start and work in smaller ways, creating some activations for them, like what Mercedes know. Put that, I mean, providing the players with the ride in Mercedes, and they have like their favorite Spotify playlist playing when they get into the car. Those kind of things. They made commercials with the teams. Those kind of things. I know they have a Mercedes on stage. Classical things that actually is the company knows what it is, and they understand it. So you don't have to go and talk about how does a tournament work, how's the bracketing work, what's it sport. I mean, that's not matter. And then ESL together with Mercedes developed that part. The same they did with DHL. I think that's another one they actually done really good on that partnerships there, and also make them create a lot of involvement, or rather DHL or Mercedes a part of the whole activation, the events there. So those are, I think, the two good examples what the team over at ESL did with those two mega brands that are not traditionally anything into esports. I mean, usually, and also they choose a game where they actually they feel comfortable, really, because usually it's all putting, let's go Counter-Strike. It's one of the biggest one, and it's easy to understand. But then you have all the violence aspects coming in there. How do you, as a Mercedes, go and tell to your people that, yeah, I'm going to sponsor a game where somebody gets shot in the head, it's terrorists and counter-terrorists and all those. It's like brands go, no, that's not a discussion. We can't take that. We don't know how to answer to the community or to the people asking those questions. Even if the players doesn't see that there's a shooting somebody in the head, it's a team game, it's team tactics, everything like those kind of things. It's the same. I mean, it's not just running around. They're doing everything with a purpose. They know what they're doing. They're putting things over there. The smoke is going over there because it's going to block them, or those kind of things. So it is a really tactical game there. It's the same as soccer. You know, the ball needs to go in the goal, But then there's all these different tactics, all these different kind of plays you need to do. That's the same in this case for Counter-Strike, but it's easy to understand there. So, and you're looking for smaller brands. That's still cheap to get into esports, not compared to what it costs to sponsor an NBA team, or what it costs to buy whatever. It's still cheap, but of course the prices have gone up over the couple of years, but I think there's still room for the prices to really grow there, because it's the value you get out of it, the viewership, the engagement you get from the fans. Because if you do it right, the love you're going to get from the fans and the community is huge on that, because they really appreciate the company coming in, doing something for them, making sure that they can actually see that esport or gaming is something serious for them, not just people that come in and like, oh, you just play games, you don't have anything to do, just go out and do something else. It's actually for them competing. It's something they want to do there. There's something they want to look in a career to do that. So, but I think for those guys, I think it's smaller step as not necessarily running tournaments, but you can sponsor tournaments. So you can sponsor players. You can look at your local teams to how can we get them out there, give them a baseline to grow and hire the players, trainers, the team to be better. Those kind of things. And of course, there's traditional sponsorship that helps, but also you can do a lot of activations around the sponsorship, not just having that logo plus everywhere. How can you work with the tournament organizations to get the best thing? What activations can you do? What things can you provide? I think it's always going talk to people there that you want to sponsor, activate. What are you looking for? How can we help you? That's a good question to start with, and then tell you, and then they're going to tell you how you can do that, and then you can tell that these are the goals I want to meet. What are the KPIs I have? These are the things we need to hit, and that's a good starting point for talking about it.
Talk about maybe a few more of like your day. What's your day-to-day looking like? What's your day-to-day activity, as the head of esports and on the gambling side? What are some of the maybe KPIs for you, or where you're trying to take things with the entertainment group?
Yeah, I only been here for 4 weeks, so it's I'm one of the things.
You don't have it all figured out yet? Come on.
I should have. But one of the things we're building out the plan. YGD, our platform for esports betting, is new. Nobody knows that, so we need to build a brand awareness. How can we do that? How can we get people to know our brand name? And of course, one of the things that I know is working with is sponsorship. So we're looking to sponsor. We're looking to do some sponsorship deals, tournaments. We're looking to do teams. So that's one of the things. Of course, we're looking at what is the best teams to sponsor. What are the games we want to get into that? So that's something we are investigating. We are talking to teams, tournament organizations, and looking at what are our best options to get our brand name out there. And of course, and the second one is, of course, conversions. We need people to start betting on the games. We need to do that. So that's also how can we build the brandness and then move this to conversions and to people playing on our platform. So those are the things. And of course, that's a YGD, but also then we are looking at how can we. Esports Entertainment Group is not just betting as one vertical that we have. We also look at other verticals within esport, because esport is a huge umbrella. There's different parts there. So we are looking at what are the other verticals we're going to enter into within esports. That's also something we've been looking at. So
is it hard to fight fraud in esports? That's, it's some of it's regulated now. The bigger sports, are so regulated, and, if some NBA player was tanking, you'd know it. But I would think in esports, at least in it's not the early stages. It's been around a long time, but it's, in the early stages of the gambling portion, that would be a concern.
Of course, I would say within esport, people has been cheating. It is regular. If you look in every new game, there's cheats happening. It is wall hacks, where different things that happen. So that, of course, that creates a lot of. For we providing odds on games where we don't know do we know there's an anti-cheat in there so people can't cheat on those kind of things. So we need to be sure that those kind of things are in place. And then we will also have all the people that are betting that are exploiting if we have any missed anything in our offer terms that we're doing that. And of course that happens too. So you need to be cautious in what the things you're doing and providing to the market. And I mean, we have been running some campaigns that people have tried to exploit, and we have to say no. We have to block those or say no to those guys because they are not using it as in the terms that we wanted it to be there. And then we say no, and then we have to cancel also some kind of the campaigns there. But it's different where as I said, where we run campaigns, do things, and then you have the esport things also where there can be you have that in traditional sports where people can take a dive, or they can forfeit the match or lose a game purpose just because they bet on something like that. But I think esport has taken a lot of precautions against cheating and those kind of things. And so those are the two things we also are, of course, looking at. How can we take care of those things? As I said, but then it's also building the Esports Entertainment brand is in different verticals. We don't want to just be a betting brand. We want to be more about esports and entertainment part. If it could be production tournaments, it could be tournament platforms. It's a lot of things we're looking at that we want to dive in to do that. Is
in the US, I know worldwide Counter-Strike, League of Legends, and all that. I actually have one of my good friends that I've worked with for a long time, and we actually did a radio show together back in the day. His name's Scott Cole. He's the voice of NBA 2K. He's on ESPN2 regularly now. They on Tuesday nights they do the league games, and so my perspective has been grounded a lot in the sports. I played sports growing up in the sports games, played Madden and all of those games, and but as teams go and as the popularity of things, is it still as slanted towards those Counter-Strike, League of Legends, even in the U.S., as far as the players and teams and all of that stuff?
I mean, usually the teams, if you look at Dignitas or you look at Cloud9 or you look at or the other US team, they usually have they play in several games. So they have, if you look at Dignitas, for example, they have a Counter-Strike team, they have a League of Legends team, they have a Rocket League team. So they're trying to be in a lot of games there and trying to be competitive in that. So it's not just that you're Dignitas just a Counter-Strike team. They actually have more teams where they're fighting, where they're playing in. So that's where they can actually gain more fans than like the Rangers, because that's just hockey. I mean, there's no New York Rangers basketball team. That's the Knicks, whatever. So So that, I think that's where they can gain a lot of more fans, a lot of more engagement than just having. Because if you don't care about hockey, you don't care about the Rangers. But if you don't care about the Counter-Strike, but I care about League of Legends, I can still be a Dignitas fans. Or if I don't care about those two, but if I'm a Rocket League fan, I still care about Dignitas. So that's where they actually gain more fans in there. And that's, I think, an interesting mechanics, how you can be active in different games and still be relevant, even if people don't like that type of game.
Now, that Rocket League I can get into. Now, I play that with my kids. Now, I don't know what it is. It's the weirdest thing when I saw them playing it, a couple of years ago. I was like, the strangest thing, using cars and everything else to push the balls in the thing and things blowing up. I was like, this is the strangest mismatch of things, but it's fun. It's simple. It's simple. I mean, it's a simple game. The ball needs to go in the net, and you have a car to drive that, and you can do some crazy shit with that car. Yeah. I mean, I love that game, and I think that's a perfect game where it actually can be super competitive, but also casual. Do something where you just play with your friends in the sofa. I don't want to say drinking beer, but I'm saying that anyway. Oh, yeah. We'll drink some beer. I'm drinking a beer when I'm playing. You can, of course, do soft drinks also, or energy drinks, whatever. So you can do a Monster, or you can do a beer, or whatever. But it's like hang around and playing game, and you can do that. I think that's the beauty of that game. That it is that simple, and it's easy to play on there. Yeah. As we kind of close out here, I think one topic that's probably important that I know has fueled a lot of the growth, which is you mentioned it earlier, Twitch. Fascinating. Yeah. Again, back to these layers. who would have thought? Yeah, and I guess having watched my kids now, it doesn't surprise me, and enjoying watching other people. But that whole voyeurism of who would have known how popular it would be? I guess to watch other people play video games, but that has really exploded. The growth of it, and I'd love to know just your overall perspective on Twitch and that layer.
I mean, Twitch as a layer, I think they've been wiping the competition for a while. I mean, Mixer shut down, move over to Facebook, so it's going to be interesting to see what Facebook gaming is doing. I mean, Twitch, what do you call it, status is dominant. They're like the number one for esporting, keeping going, or live shows, I would say, because it's not just esport, it's actually all the influencers, going there, Tim the Tatman, or just Lyric, those guys, or Dr. Disrespect, they are there, and people come to watch those guys play. It's interesting. So I think Twitch has a dominant place in the market, and I think they're still going to continue doing that. But there will be other platforms, and not Facebook's going to do that, but it's growing that part because it's that's how the young kids are consuming content today. It's not. I mean, if you put a TV remote and some 6-8-year-old kids, they're gonna start. I can't do that. I can't scroll. I can't do that. Or I can't pause that. I can't. It's commercial. How can I get past that? They don't watch linear TV anymore. It's the way how they consume it. If it's YouTube or if it's Twitch, which are the two biggest one, I think will continue for a while doing that. I mean, Twitch has a lot of competitors that hasn't survived there, so we'll see what happens there.
I mentioned it earlier. I've given you, roughly 30 to 40 minutes to think about it. So can my kids become the next Simple, or let's see if I can challenge some of my big gamer names in the space. But can they get there? And how do they get there? And is it like what is it, the chances of your child playing in I'll speak to US, like the NFL is like 0.01%, like you're going to make it. Is the odds, is that stacked against that it can become a career, or are these like actual avenues?
I mean, there are actual avenues. I can see there's a lot of new businesses growing. I mean, there's like something, I mean, as I said, they were playing Fortnite, and look at Booga, who was 16, he won $3 million.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. I mean, I guess he spent a lot of time playing games. So it's all about dedication and commitment. How much can they play? And I think it comes to the parents like, oh, you can't play 8 hours. You need to go out.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they have all friends online. When they go out, nobody's out there. So like, who are they going to hang with? All parents doing that. But the thing is, you never say if the kids go out and hang in the park for 8 hours, they're like, oh, good, you're out. But the thing is, if they play 8 hours video game, it's going to be a lot of noise about that. But I think that's the thing's changing. They have avenues to do that. And I think there's a lot of things they can do that way. Play more video games, be competitive, train about that. And there's actually something I heard about in the US where it's like people are paying somebody to come home to them to be a tutor to play how to play Fortnite in the best way to do that. So that's something new. And I heard they were paying like $400 an hour to get the people in. I'm like, okay, hey. I also I am e-sport, but I made a wrong career move here. I should be competitive instead. So it is, but I think you need to practice. It's all those hours. You look at the game and look at all the players that are spending 8 to 10 hours per day playing games, playing that game. And the thing is, you need to focus on one game. You can't be Fortnite and can't be Counter-Strike and League of Legends. It has to be one game, and you have to like that game. They can, but it's a small chance to be as good, and also coming into tournaments and playing for that $3 million at the Arthur Ashe Stadium last year. Crazy event.
Any perspective on Valorant? You've heard of that game? Yeah. I mean, is it sort of following the Fortnite model? It's such an interesting, someone, that's making a lot of money with the thinking through the economies of these things. Let's charge $80 a game. No, let's just give them all away and sell dances and content and everything else and make even more money. That whole free to play sort of model.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, it is that free-to-play model has been the most successful, because if you pay $69 for a game, you're not paying anymore, because you think you already pay, and you're not supposed to pay anymore. But the thing is, you get a game for free, and then you're buying, as I said, the skins, the dances, the T-shirts, and now you're spending actually $1,000 or $2,000 for that, because it's like,
Yeah.
and it's all those microtransactions. It's only $5 here, it's $5 there, $5. It's like $20 per day, and then it's for a whole year, and you're in there. So I think for them, it's a smart move, and it doesn't cost anything to create this digital T-shirt or skin or dance. I mean, there's small cost for doing that, but it's, as I said, people love that, and then you create some awareness around it, and you make some part of that limited and all that. So then you get the prices up. Look at CS:GO and all the skins for the weapons, where some is worth value at 25 cents and some is value at $25,000.
Yeah.
But it's the same digital skin. What's the difference there? But it's like it's only 5 out there. It's rare and it's cool and all that. So I think that's where they actually that's the money maker for them. Looking at Valorant, I think it's going to grow. I think I haven't really and that's where maybe I need to invest a little bit more. How they're going to do that? Are they building the same way as they did with League of Legends, having their own series, building that up, or they're actually going to use third-party tournament organizations to run that as a CS:GO? Maybe they have decided, maybe they haven't. I haven't seen that, but I think it's interesting. But I would say that Valorant campaign has been one of the best things done for launching a new game. Of course, it's Riot, the biggest one of the biggest players in the industry, and they have that power to do that. But as I said, people were going crazy about getting those beta codes, hanging, watching the people play that game. That was, I mean, looking at the numbers they racked up for the first week there to get in there, they were crushing Twitch numbers. So it was crazy. But I think that was a really good campaign, a smart move, not have to spend that much. I mean, of course, they got to spend some money on influencers playing the game. That's the right guys, but it's been worth a lot for them. So great launch campaign for Valorant, and I'm looking forward to see what they can do within esports. And I know there's a lot of teams that have started to pick up building their own teams to be there. So it's coming there. It's going to be interesting to see how it's going to compete with CS:GO. I mean, because I think that's one of the nearest competitor for them. So we'll see.
Yeah. What where's it all going? I mean, like it's like in some ways it's like I said, I've known about it for a long time. I have friends in the business, but in some ways it still feels so nascent, as a industry. What's the crystal ball say?
Isn't that the good thing with this industry? It goes so fast and you don't know where it's going. Even if you go, when I started in 2013 in DreamHack, I mean, PUBG, Fortnite, that wasn't even a genre there. Nobody heard about battle royale games. It came a couple of years later. Now it's huge. Now you actually look at Fortnite, biggest game. I would say one of the biggest games. It runs concerts. It's it's more a game and a social platform.
Yeah,
and I think that's the cool thing with this industry. You don't know where it's going. The only thing you know is going to be growing. It's going to be bigger, and it's going to become new ideas, new things to test, and that's what I like to be in this, because the difference between 2013 and 2020 is huge. I mean, so many things happening, and looking at that, people entering into esports, and I think Riot did their first League of Legends final at DreamHack Summer. I don't know if it was 2009, 2029 or something like that. And it was like 100 square meter booth, and like a year ago they sold out the whole Beijing Olympic Stadium bird's nest there. I mean, that's huge. That's 50,000 people coming to the event, compared to the DreamHack that have maybe 40, 50 people. And it's only it's maybe just 10 years between point A and point B there, so to say. So that's what I think it's hard to say where we are in crystal ball. I think we will see more games. We will see more formats. I say not just PC, console. We actually see mobile. I think that's going to be something that really grows and coming big here.
I'll leave you with a secret code, 007-373-5963. I think that's right. That's coming straight off memory. This wasn't planned. That is the code to go straight to Mike Tyson and Mike Tyson's Punch-Out on Nintendo. I remember it since my childhood, kind of like up, up, down, down, left, right, BA start for what game? Contra.
Yeah.
But if you want to go straight to Mike Tyson's Punch-Out on Mike Tyson, anyone listening, go to that code. You probably could Google it and find it anyway. But that's straight from memory from when I was a 10-year-old and got my first Nintendo and literally beat Mike Tyson the first night because I played for like 12 hours straight. And, that was me. Between that and Legend of Zelda, it was dangerous.
Isn't it crazy all the memories you have of playing great games and what it gives you and all the fun and joy you had? Because I was also mentioning when I was at a company called Panvision, when Xbox 360 came out, we started playing Rainbow Six Siege. I mean, we spent so many hours that people just went home, had dinner with a family, and like 8 o'clock to midnight, everybody was family, goodbye, see you. You're sitting there with your first online playing that game, and people shouting at each other. You can't throw a flashbang in my face. I'm coming back. You need to do that. We had so much fun, and we played that crazy. And then Modern Warfare came out. We played even more on that one, but it's great. As I said, it creates memories, and it creates friends, and you can hang with them. And now you hang with friends with all over the world through games or using Discord services or playing games. It's crazy, as I said. And the next generation is like looking at Fortnite, looking at that Travis Scott. You're going to concert in the game, as I said. And then you have the number code there. And it's not that many years between those things. I mean, maybe, what is it? Maybe 20?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, Magnus, man, really appreciate you coming on the Radcast. And let's do it again, maybe in another 6 to 12 months. Love to get you back on, talk more about where things are going with the gambling side, and just really appreciate your perspective.
Yeah, let's do that. I think if you talk 6 to 12 months, I think we're going to be with the Esports Entertainment Group. It's going to be a lot of progress, a lot of things happening there. I mean, we have a lot of things in the pipeline. So really looking forward to come back with you in 6 to 12 months to talk to you again. And thanks for having me. It was an awesome time.
Great. Thanks so much, Magnus.
Thank
hey, guys, this is Ryan Alford. Really enjoyed today's episode with Magnus talking esports, the growth of gambling, the growth of tournaments, gaming, sponsorships. We unpacked a lot today. Follow along at radical.company or radical_results on Instagram. We'll see you next time.